Shabbat Shalom. Sorry about that. I had the cover on the camera thing. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Good morning, good evening, good Shabbat to everyone, wherever you are, whether you're on the far east of the earth or on the east coast of the United States or any place in between. Shabbat Shalom to you. Blessings and greetings to the 12 tribes scattered throughout the four corners of the earth according to Bible prophecy, scattered into the four corners of the earth through slavery, scattered into their enemies' lands, scattered, worshiping foreign gods, scattered to the four corners of the earth according to the Holy Scripture, scattered, and are now being awakened by the word of the Most High at the end of time with the main message of justification by faith, which causes the nation of Israel and all with them to be cleansed from all their sins. Greetings. Greetings also to those fortunate Gentiles that recognize the only true God, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, and his children, Hebrews, that are Israelites, and recognize Messiah as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, an Israelite representing the nation of Israel. Greetings to you, Gentiles grafted in, and congratulations to you on coming to the truth. Blessings. Blessings upon those that are working in healthcare. Even though the healthcare system is crooked, we don't judge the people. As a matter of fact, there have been so many, for example, incidents of gunshots, drive-by shootings, carjackings here in Washington, D.C., and in every major city, New York, all the boroughs, Florida, Texas, all over the place. And if you're unfortunately caught by a stray bullet and you're wheeled into an emergency room, you're not worried about how corrupt the healthcare system is. You're concerned with somebody saving your life. And so I say blessings on the people that are there to do that. Blessings also on those that are comforting the elderly. They find that there's a lot of situations where elderly people in nursing homes are being abused by the staff, abused by the owners. So if you're a mother, your father, or you are in a nursing home, you want somebody that cares, somebody that's not going to abuse you, that cares about you enough, though they don't know you, to make your last years comfortable. Blessings on such ones. Blessings also, double blessings, on those that are out here on the earth trying to deliver boys and girls, teenagers, men, women, and even, unfortunately, in these last days, babies, from sex slave operations and human trafficking going on all over the earth and in every major, so-called major Western country. People are being kidnapped, bought, and sold. Babies are being raped, and people are paying to watch it on film. Blessings to those that are seeking to destroy and bust those involved in this industry, and curses upon the ones that support this industry. Finally, blessings on those trying to help the homeless. You see, brethren, we're talking about these things before we even get started. I talk about it even in my next videos. Why? Because this is the real. You want to talk about being real? You want to talk about what's really happening on the earth? These are things that are really going on the earth. I can't truly, completely rejoice except in the Most High's promise of deliverance with these things happening. It's hard for me to forget that right now there are families with children that are sleeping in a box, that are sleeping in a tent on a sidewalk, in a park somewhere, or in a car, and desperate trying to get a roof over their head, that there's a veteran somewhere that went to some war for the corporations and got shot up and came back here. His head is all messed up and he's homeless and he needs help. And then to understand that there's at least 500,000 human beings in this situation in the United States. I say blessings on those that are seeking to help such ones, that dedicate themselves or at least try to do something to help the situation. And blessing also on the people themselves suffering this, because theirs is the kingdom. The kingdom is for them. We've been studying the book of Jeremiah. And the book of Jeremiah is a prophecy, obviously. And what, again, we need to understand that all the prophets of the Bible are Hebrew Israelites. All of them are the bloodline of Eber and the bloodline of the man whose name was Jacob, who's changed to Israel. All the prophets of the Bible are Hebrew Israelites because he only chose Israel. He chose Israel. The Messiah is of the tribe of Judah and he represents the nation of Israel. People say, but he's the savior of the world. Yes, only as the world understands what nation he represents and comes to that nation. Also, we understand this. The three major religions of the earth, Judaism, which I don't understand how it's major except they control the money. Islam, because they have the most people in their religion. And then, of course, Catholicism, which is the top of the food chain because that's the devil's whore, which is Christianity. They call them Abrahamic religions. Isn't that a joke? Why do they call them Abrahamic? Because they're claiming they're all related to Abraham. But you know what? The truth is, none of them, absolutely none of them are related to Abraham. The only people related to Abraham through the faith, in terms of the faith of perfect righteousness, is the people that worship the God of perfect righteousness, the God of the covenant, which he only gave to Israel as a nation. Now, he gave it to individuals. He gave it to Noah. We saw that yesterday. After Noah, he established his covenant with Abraham, who became Abraham. He established his covenant with Isaac, and he established his covenant with Jacob. And again, let me not miss Shem. But of all those men he established his covenant with, these were individuals and their families. Eventually, the family of Jacob became a nation called Israel. And through that nation, salvation is brought to the earth. You cannot say, I love Jesus, and you hate his nation, because that's where he's from. Those are his cousins. We are his cousins. We're his bloodline, literally. And the Bible speaks of no other nation or people in that position. And so we're the chosen ones, and we are in the most trouble because of that. So today we're talking about a Hebrew Israelite prophet that is a Levite priest. And again, we talked about this before. The Bible uses several of the prophets were priests. Samuel was a priest. Jeremiah was a priest. Ezekiel was a priest. Several priests have been used. Matter of fact, if you understand, when the Apostle Paul was sent out to do the ministry to the Gentiles, a priest went with him. Do you know that? A priest went with him. You know who the priest's name was? Barnabas. Bar in the Greek is son. In Hebrew is Ben, like Banyamin. It means son of the right hand. That's Benjamin. In the Greek is Bar, like Bartholomew. One of the disciples was son of Tholomew. Well, Barnabas means son of consolation, and he was a Levite priest. No coincidence that he went with the Apostle Paul to do what? Teach the Gentiles. Okay, so Levites are used often in Scripture, as we pointed out before, to be prophets. Of course, you also had kings that were prophet, like David. Okay, David was a king. He was a prophet. But you never have in the Bible, there's only one that's a prophet, a priest, and a king. There's only one. That differentiates him from anyone else in the word or anyone else on the planet. There's only one that's prophet and priest and king. As a matter of fact, the word says no prophet is going to be a king. No priest is going to be a king, and no king is going to usurp the priest's office, except one. That's Messiah. Messiah is prophet. Moses said, y'all's going to raise up a prophet unto you like unto me from among you. He's a priest. He's the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, the king of righteousness. And he's the King of kings and Lord of lords that's going to come and rule the planet Earth. Very short. Very short. So he's prophet, priest, and king. That's Messiah. That's why you don't take Messiah lightly. Don't try to diss him. Don't act stupid, because it will hurt you, because that's Father's prophet, priest, and king. That's Father's prophet, priest, and king. Okay. So here we have talking about Jeremiah, the priest, the Hebrew Israelite priest of the tribe of Levi, that is giving us this message. And this message is to Israel, and the punishers are Babylon. And it's a litmus, it's a type, it's a symbol of where we are today, where the Israelite people are being punished by worldwide Babylon. But just as Jeremiah will prophesy, as we study it, Babylon's going to be destroyed. Israel is going to be reestablished as his chosen. And the world does not and will not believe it. Don't ever think the world going to believe the truth, y'all. Don't ever think that if the world hates what you're saying, if the world is laughing at what you're saying, if the world is ridiculing or doubting what you're saying, that that's a negative on you. It's never been, and it never will be, the majority of this deceived planet into the truth. It never will be. Okay. The planet is built, the system we live in is built on lies and deception. Deception is a lie. Let's go back now. Let's start off today in Daniel. Daniel chapter 8 before we go to Jeremiah, because again, today's message is entitled Covetousness Destroys the Comely Woman. You're going to understand why we talk about that in a second. But covetousness, in that principle of the covenant, thou shalt not covet, is the principle of greed. Greed, brethren, is what causes the leadership of the earth to do anything they can to stay in power, to do anything they can, including crushing into submission all of the populace of the planet. And the top of that food chain is the devil himself. And under him is his whore, which brings us to the woman. Let's take a look at this in Daniel chapter 8. Now, when we looked at Daniel 8, Daniel saw a vision, and he's seeing the succession of kingdoms, starting with the Medes and the Persians and ending with Holy Rome. Okay. Going to the Greeks and then going to Holy Rome. Now, when he talks about that, he's showing Medes and Persians as an animal. He's showing the Greeks as an animal. Then he goes right over the empire of Rome in terms of the military political empire, and goes right to the little horn, which is the focal point. Okay. Okay. So let's look at that in Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 9. Daniel 8, verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. Now, I want to also point out, I always like to point this out there. He mentions direction here, south, east, pleasant land. That means what he's saying is south, east, and west. Okay. Okay. That's what it was, south, east, and west. That represented the nation of Israel. The south, which at that time was what we call Egypt, Mizraim, and then the east, which was, of course, the west was the Persian Empire, the east was Israel, and now you had him coming out of the north. Again, North being prominent in Bible prophecy. So he comes out of the north. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself, the little horn did, even to the prince of the host, the prince being the heir to the king, Messiah. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And the host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. How did that happen? They destroyed Jerusalem. They destroyed the temple. Okay? They did this, and that was the end of the daily sacrifice. It was really ended under Messiah. We know that because it said, he shall cause sacrifice and oblation to cease. But Rome put a stamp on it in 70 AD when Titus and them came and just destroyed the whole city. Okay? Destroyed it. And replaced with the Most High. Now, the idea of sacrifice has to do with a high priest, right? When you're talking about sacrifice, what you're talking about removal of sin. Let's talk about that. Now, we studied sacrifice, daily sacrifice was for the removal of sin. And on the Day of Atonement, the high priest took all of those sins that were removed from the people and put them on the scapegoat and took sin from the whole nation. So when you remove that, you're replacing the only means that the Father has set up to remove sin from the nation. The little horn took it away and replaced it with himself, which is why when you have the Catholic Church, what you got? Priests. Do you not? Are they not all priests? Archbishops are priests. All lay workers are priests, correct? So they try to replace the law of Yah and the removal of sin with this little horn and the establishment of the Christian church. That's what they did. Okay. The law of the removal of sin was given to the nation of Israel only. And through the nation of Israel, it would be shared, which is where we talk about the message of justification by faith. Because it is that doctrine, that is the faith of Messiah, which is the gospel. I am not ashamed, the Bible says, of the gospel of Christ. For it is the power of Yah unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Israelite first and also to the Gentile. I'm paraphrasing because it says to the Jew first and also to the Greek, but we know that represents the nation of Israel and the Gentiles. And here's the important part. For therein is the righteousness of Yah revealed from faith to faith. And that, my friends, is the whole point of the Father establishing Jacob's children as a nation to reveal his righteousness to the earth, and his righteousness being represented in Messiah, their Messiah, not Europe's Messiah, not Greek Messiah, their Messiah. And so that's why all the families of the earth come to be blessed in that Messiah through that nation. People try to ignore that and create these churches and say, I can go right to Jesus. No, you can't. You need to go to the Messiah, yes. But that Messiah said himself, I came not but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So you cannot separate the nation from the Messiah and say you're just going after Messiah. You can't do that. He's part of a nation, the holy nation, the true holy nation. But here, the little horn magnifies himself in place of the nation and in place of the priesthood and in place of the Messiah. And he shows you that by having another intercessor who they pray to called Mary. Am I right? And they do that with all the other Christian churches because they'll say the most important thing is the church. The God which their fathers knew not, that they honor with gold and silver and precious things. The church. And all the little whores that follow the great whore do the same thing. Don't leave the church. And they make, just like the Catholic Church make you feel like you lost if you don't take communion, the other whores make you feel that you lost if you're not a member of their church. Tell me I'm lying. I know they try to deny it, but that's just the liar in them. I'm speaking the truth from the word. Little horn. Daniel 8, verse 11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. A host was given to Rome. What does that mean? That means we Israelites were scattered because of what it says, transgression. Because of our worship of other gods of our fathers, that's why we were scattered into slavery. Okay. Now, Daniel wanted to know in his mind, okay, does that mean we finished as a nation? What about us? Daniel 8:13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? How long are you going to allow this entity called Rome, this little horn, to replace you? How long are we going to have to be scattered before we be gathered? How long is this apostasy, this abomination of Gentiles going to go on? Verse 14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. The cleansing of the sanctuary, as we know from Leviticus 16, is the Day of Atonement. That means that there would be a reestablishment of the cleansing of the sanctuary. Only this time, as Hebrews tells us, it's not because of bulls and goats. It's not Moses' sanctuary. It's the heavenly one in the third heaven. And instead of Aaron as the high priest and his sons, it's Messiah of the tribe of Judah after the order of Melchizedek with his own blood, cleansing the heavenly sanctuary for the nation of Israel and all those that are among the Israelites, the strangers that are among them on a worldwide basis. Why? Because at that time, Israel would have been scattered through the whole earth, which is where we are today. So even though in the United States of America, we like to talk about 400 years in slavery here, and that's true. We've been here more than 400 years in slavery. Some of us were here before that because we came over on boats before that. Some of the 10 northern tribes came here before that, and they found them over here and they enslaved them too. But no, really, our enslavement has lasted 2,000 years plus. That's the truth about it. And our enslavement was prophesied, and our deliverance, as you know in Deuteronomy 30, as you know in Jeremiah 30, what you're going to read, as you know in Ezekiel chapter 39, as you know in Ezekiel chapter 36, as you know in all of the prophets, in Zechariah chapter 8, Zechariah chapter 14, Zechariah chapter 1, Zechariah chapter 2, as you know in all of these prophets and more, our deliverance is prophesied. Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. The fulfilling of the time of the Gentiles coincides with the awakening prophesied. Because when Israel awakens, darkness becomes light in terms of truth. So here he's telling Daniel, bro, it's a long time. It's going to be a long time. Which shows Daniel and us how serious the sins of our fathers really was. This wasn't one of them times where he just allowed the Philistines to take over for a few decades and then you come back in power when you repent. This wasn't one of them times. This wasn't one of them times where he delivers you from just, Egypt and brings you over here. No. This is serious. He was tired of this mess. And he said, no, I'm going to put you on some serious slavery now. And look, brothers being hung from trees with their gonads cut off. Brothers being shot in streets by police officers, stacked up in prisons for profit. Geopolitical powers creating ghettos and putting deadly drugs in them. Diseases being created to kill us. We suffered it. We already seen it. And now we're awakening. And that says what? That's good news. That's the true gospel. The good news. The awakening is the good news because the Father's righteousness is being revealed in his Israelite people. And that means all of this oppression is coming to an end. And Revelation 21 is going to come to pass. There shall be no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying. The former things are passed away. Behold, I make all things new. That's coming. where the whole earth will be back in harmony and in balance. We'll be in balance and harmony with nature. Nature will be in balance and harmony with us, and we'll all be in harmony with each other, and we'll be in perfect alignment with Messiah and our Father. We will see his face, and there'll be no more curse. That's what the awakening of the Israelites is going to do for planet Earth. There'll be no more devil. There'll be no more oppression. There'll be no more rebellion against the law of Yah. That's what the Israelite nation awakening means to the planet. Let's continue. Skip down a little bit. Daniel chapter 8, beginning at verse 19. This is what I'm going to show you here. The word is going to show you how operations are happening on the planet right now. Watch for it now, because you're looking now. Look closely when we get to the little horn. Okay? I'm telling you. I'm not going to show you where it is yet. I want you to listen and read it. Hopefully you got your Bible open and you're looking at this. Daniel chapter 8, beginning at verse 19. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For the time appointed, at the time appointed, the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. Media now, you're just introducing now the power of the Gentiles, the power of the children of Yafet in Media. Okay? And the rough goat is the king of Grecia or Greece. Now you're seeing again, the last end of the powers of this earth are in Japhet. Okay. The last rebellion is in Japhet. Because now we know after that came the little horn, which comes out of Rome. So everything of part of rebellion against the Father and against the Israelite people are coming from Japhet. So white supremacy is not an illusion. It's prophesied. Okay, let's continue. The great horn that's between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through, watch this, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. There you go. He shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Craft, cunning, deceit, lies. He shall cause craft, that's cunning, deceit, lies, darkness to prosper. That's why if I say men having sex with men is disgusting, they call me a bigot. He shall cause craft to prosper. That's why you got the majority of this earth worshiping a stone, a woman named Mary, or something in between called the church. He shall cause craft to prosper. He shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. That's why you got, if they're going to have media with black men on it, they're going to be homosexuals. Like Don Lemon, they're going to be homosexuals. Okay? Like Jonathan Capehart, they're going to be homosexuals. If you're going to have them like that. If you're going to have a man in Hollywood, have you noticed any black man that prospers in Hollywood at least one time, he has to dress as a woman? You notice that? At least one time, he has to dress as a woman. In one role somewhere, even if it's a minor role, he's going to dress as a woman. Did you notice that? One of the biggest stars in Hollywood used to do it on In Living Color in New York all the time. Y'all know who used to play Wanda. Remember that? Dressed as a woman. And then now he's the tough guy. Now he's the Django. Now he's the tough dude. Now, but he had to first dress as a woman. Any black man they put in Hollywood at one point has to dress as a woman. And that's why there was a comedian and he refused to do it. And he was blackballed for a while. Remember that? Because he refused to do it. He was doing a movie and they said it called him to dress as a woman in the movie. And he said he didn't want to do that. And they said, listen, you need to do this. You understand? Yeah. Jamie Foxx was the dude I'm talking about from Living Color. He became, after he dressed as the woman, he became the Django. He became an Oscar winner for playing Ray Charles. All that started when he first bowed down to them and did what? Dressed as a woman. Because they turned the holy seed of the prince. That's what the black man is. The one that was enslaved. The seed of Abraham is a holy seed. It's royalty. And they want to turn him into a homosexual. They put Black Lives Matter at the top of the chain now. They're supposed to be representing us. And they're lesbians. You see what they're trying to do to the royal seed of Judah? You see what the devil's using Hollywood to do and the media to do with his mind control? That's the part of the mind, the spiritualism we're talking about. Yeah. You see what they do? And then they degrade us. Geopolitics. Geopolitics, let me explain quickly what that is. That's where you have, it's a science where you have people that are in political power, that make laws, that make policy, creating geographies through their policy. That's how you get a ghetto. A ghetto doesn't just come about by accident. It's created geopolitically. That's how you have a wealthy area that's safe. That doesn't just come about by accident. That's geopolitics. That's policies and laws that they create with. Sometimes they use covenants. Sometimes they use redlining. They use drugs, whatever they need to use to create geopolitically a geographical boundary. And they create that boundary to create people in the way they want them to be created. So they create a ghetto. They geopolitically create it with drugs. They keep the unemployment rate high. You can be qualified. It doesn't matter. You come from a certain address. They're looking down on you. You know I'm telling the truth. And then that breeds crime. You flood the area with liquor stores. You flood the area. And you don't just use, you don't have Heineken in the hood. No. You get malt liquor. Much more alcohol than malt liquor. Old English 800. Slits malt liquor bull. You get that in the black neighborhood. Okay, you don't get Heineken and Beck's. You don't get that. And they make sure they put the drugs in there. The manufactured drugs go in there first. And then they flood the place with guns. And they turn us into animals. They turn the royal seed of Judah into animals. But it's all good though. It's not going to work. You know why? Because we have a high priest. And the awakening is not being stopped. It's underway. Why? Because the Father prophesied. And his word always, 100% of the time, comes to pass. So they can try to geopolitically do these things. It's not going to stop us. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something else that was shown to me. The powers of the geopolitical world that has done this, that is from the Pentagon to the White House to all of these people that are in charge, these corporations that are behind the scenes running everything, they are amazed at us because we're not supposed to be here. We're supposed to have been diminished from this. And that's prophesied too. Pharaoh tried it. And the more he tried to oppress us, he said, the more the Israelites grew and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Let me tell you something. They grieved because of us. With the way they have put the geopolitical system in place, with the crack, with the heroin, with the guns, with the way they have taken our men and destroyed them and placed our women against our men in this whole women's liberation foolishness that the white woman had with her man, they tried to put it on us, and they did. So they got black women down in their own men. With all of this, we still here. There's still strong black men out here. We still here. There's still black men out here hustling, trying to work 2 and 3 jobs to make it work for them. We still here. With all of the leading cause of death of heart disease being with us, we still here. Malcolm X said we was 22 million. Now we almost 50 million. And they tried to kill at least 2 generations between then and now. And we still here because it's prophesied. Can't stop us because the Father's with us. Turn us into animals. They could do that, but not all of us gonna be animals. They can kill us in the street. They could do that, but not all of us going to die in the street. We still here. And we're going to be here. As a matter of fact, let me give you one more thing before we keep going. Let me give you one more thing before we keep going. It's a known fact, and I look it up for yourselves. Don't believe me? Go look it up for yourself. Do your research. The European peoples of all the European countries in the developed world, including the United States, are not having enough babies to survive. They're not reproducing enough children. They're having more deaths than births. And they're desperately trying to stop it. You see, the Planned Parenthood was not built for the Caucasian people. It was built to kill black babies. And all of this conservative movement to stop abortion, it's not because they're concerned with Spanish and black people killing their babies. It's because the Caucasian women, with their own women's liberation movement, are killing their babies. And they're desperately now trying to stop it. They're below the replacement level of any people on planet Earth, according to their scientists, has to be 1.91 children per woman. You have to average 1.91 children in order to maintain your people. Okay? In order to maintain your people. Okay? Now, in the United States, the black people of the United States got the lowest of all black people. And we, even at that low, we're 2.2. So we're not in danger of extinction. But the Caucasian people in the United States are like 1.6, 1.7. They say once you go below 1.91, it's too late. You can't come back. In Europe, they're like 1.3. In Italy, they're like 1.3. In Switzerland and Norway, they're like 1.3, 1.4. That's how it is. And you know what it is in Africa? 5, 6, 7. Why do you think they'll have all kind of famines going on and all kind of military strife and all kind of military coups where people getting killed and children getting killed? That's not accidental, because their replacement rate is higher, much higher than any place. Even in the Middle East where the Arabs are, they like at 2 and 3 and 4. And that's why you'll get some people in the geopolitical world that are trying to get people from those countries into these European areas, because otherwise their economies will collapse. This whole thing about trying to stop people from entering the border is a smokescreen, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, don't believe the media. It's a smokescreen to keep the Caucasian people with the system. The poor Caucasian people, because they're getting screwed the worst and they don't even realize it. That's how brainwashed they are with their white Jesus. And they're worried about Mexicans coming over. That's the least of their problems. The whole economy would collapse if it wasn't for immigration and the brown people that are coming here. But that's not in our control. We didn't decide we're going to have more babies than them. They didn't decide they wanted to have less. Well, what's going on? The Most High is diminishing them. He's diminishing them. It's a natural consequence of what we're talking about today, of greed and lust for power. It's a natural consequence. Greed is self-destructive, y'all. If he wasn't holding back the winds with the 4 angels, as Revelation 7 tells us, for the sealing of the 144,000, if he was to let those winds go, I'm telling you, it wouldn't even be right now. It'd have been decades ago. It'd have been even centuries ago. The Caucasian man would have destroyed every human being on this earth, including himself. It would have happened like that, because greed is self-destructive. It's self-destructive. The only people left on the planet would be evil angels at the end of it all, because each person would have destroyed themselves. Why do you think every time the Bible shows when the Israelite people are on Yah's side, like when Jehoshaphat was king and the 3 powers of Moab, Edom, and Ammon came together to try to kill Israel, they end up destroying themselves? Why do you think when the whore is in power, the Bible says the 10 horns hate the whore and will destroy her? They end up destroying themselves, because greed is self-destructive. And let me break it down a little further. The covenant of Yah is righteousness. That's why don't look at all these books, man. Look at this one. It's got the covenant in it to the only people it was given to. And not only that, the covenant is life. When you break the covenant, there's only one way. It's death. It's the only way. Okay? The Bible says about wisdom, all they that hate me love death. And so The natural consequence of going against Yah's covenant of righteousness is death. And it's not even like he got to do it. It's self-destructive. It's suicide. That's what it is. And so greed is really, at the end of the day, self-destructive. And this planet is filled with lies and greed. There's an end to it. It's going to end itself. But the Most High said he's going to cut it short in righteousness. That's what he said. I'm going to cut it short in righteousness. It's like one night I was in my house. We lived in Roanoke area at the time, and I had a long driveway. The driveway was long enough, and I had trees so that I could not see the street from my house. And it was dark, especially when it get dark. You couldn't see nothing out there because we was like in this rural area. And one night I heard gunshots that seemed that was right next to the house. Kapow, kapow, kapow. And I was like, oh, shoot. And I looked out my window. Of course, I couldn't see nothing, but I heard people talking. And one said, oh, he got a will to live. Kapow. Crazy as I am, I walked out there because I didn't know if somebody was coming to rob us or whatever. I could grab me something, a stick or something. That's all I had. And I walked out there in the darkness. And I came, and what did I see? 2 state troopers. Virginia state troopers. What were they doing? There was a deer that had got hit by a car, broke 3 of his legs, couldn't run, couldn't do nothing. He was trying to get up. And so in mercy, they shot him. They shot him and he's still alive. They shot him again and he was still alive. And that's why the man said he got a will to live. And they had to shoot him a 3rd time for him to die. That's what the Most High is going to do to this planet. It's broken. It's under a curse. It would destroy itself. In mercy, he's going to destroy it. And he's going to save those out of it that belong to him, that want the covenant of righteousness. That's what he's doing. Okay? Somebody say all this tragedy and say, where's God in all this? He's where he's on his throne, and he's watching out for his chosen. Your God, Asatan, that rules this earth, he's doing all that. And the Most High is going to intervene for his people, the ones that are following righteousness. Now we understand the craft we're talking about. We understand what the situation is. Daniel 8 explained to us. I praise Yah for his word, man. That's why there's such an attack on it. Attack coming from every angle against the word of the Most High. People telling you they hiding stuff from us. If they hiding it, as they do, they're hiding in plain sight. There's no other book you need. He preserved this one. He had the Apocrypha taken out because you don't need it. You need the 66 that's in here. And he had it for himself, for his people. He preserved his word. He has it in English because we are in a world that's run by the English language people. And we are scattered into their land. So he had us read that language. Not only that, in our awakening, we had forgotten who we were, thinking we come from Africa and don't even know where in Africa. Now we know it's in the word. Who we are, how we got here, why we got here, and how we getting out. It's all prophesied. It's all in this Bible. Okay, everything else is designed to deceive you, take you off the path, and confuse you. Read the Bible. Read it through. Read it through. Okay, read it through, brethren. You will not be confused anymore. Read it through. It'll take you time. It's not instantaneous. That this earth is so instantaneous. You know, when I need to know something, I need to know how to put in something, how to do something. I look at a YouTube video and in 5 minutes I can get the knowledge, right? That's how it is, right? You can Google search it and you can get the knowledge in 5 minutes what you need. So we're all used to that, but the Bible is not so. You're not going to get what you need in 5 minutes. It's not going to come to you you can't get a synopsis and understand it. It takes time. It takes time and effort. You got to read it. And yes, it's long. It's going to take you a year. But that's what you need to do to understand. If you want truth, it will be nothing to you. Okay? Read it through. From Genesis to Revelation. Read it through. Okay? Praise Most High. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 6. Right in the beginning here. Watch what it says. Beginning at verse 1. O ye children of Benjamin, gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem, and blow the trumpet in Tekoa, and set up a sign of fire in Bath Hakarim, For evil appeareth out of the north, and great destruction. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. There it is again, right? His people, his nation is a woman. See that? And of course, that goes along with Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. Revelation 12, 1. Verse 1 of Revelation 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. See, his 12 stars, the 12 tribes, a woman, the daughter of Zion. That's his woman. That's his wife. Now, the devil has a wife, and you recall when we read Daniel chapter 8, he said, he shall have mighty power, but not by his own power. Where is that from? Again, the book of Revelation reiterates all the prophets. First chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of the lion. And here's the important part. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority, not by his own power. He shall rule, but not by his own power, by the dragon's power. Okay? And the whore rides the beast. She controls the beast. Revelation chapter 17. Revelation chapter 17, verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. So upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. There you have it. So you have a delicate woman of Zion who turned into a whore, but was redeemed by her Messiah, her husband. Because a husband can sanctify his wife. Messiah did that for his nation. And that's why Paul said it's a great mystery, but I speak concerning Messiah and the church. And people talking about the church, and they've changed the definition to mean these denominations. The church is the nation of Israel. That's the church, the nation. In fact, before he was martyred, we know Stephen called it the church in the wilderness. Remember that? He said that Moses led in Acts chapter 7, the church in the wilderness. That's the nation. Okay. Back to Jeremiah chapter 6. He said, O ye children of Benjamin. Now, this is deep. The 2 tribes that were left of the 12 were Benjamin and Judah. That was representing the southern kingdom. Benjamin and Judah represent the southern kingdom. The other 10 tribes represent the northern kingdom, which was already scattered by the time Jeremiah rose on the scene by the Most High raising him up. Assyrians had already scattered the northern kingdom. Sennacherib had already done it. We've seen that in 2 Kings. So now you're talking about southern kingdom of Judah, which is Benjamin and Judah. So he said, Benjamin, get out of Jerusalem, because, get out of there. Benjamin, Banyamin, means son of the right hand. Why is that important? He's saying, all you sons of the right hand, get out of Jerusalem. All you children of the right hand, get out of Jerusalem. That's the people of the covenant, people that are obedient. Get out of Jerusalem. The people that Ezekiel chapter 9 said had the mark on their forehead because they sighed and that cry for any abominations done. Again, this is local to Israel, to Jerusalem, but it's worldwide where we are now. And we talked about the threes of the mark of the beast, right? There was the religious part, there's the political part, and there's the spiritual part, the mind control, the medium, the spiritualism, right? the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet. The United States was led by Rome before it, which existed before it, and all controlled by the dragon. Right? So we said now we are leaving Babylon in phases. We are leaving the religious part first. That's the true sons of the children of the right hand. They're leaving the religious part. They're getting tired of these organized religions telling you to support their church. They're getting tired of worshiping a stone in the Middle East that came also from Rome. Do you know that it was Rome that created Islam with Khadijah, the first wife, which was 20 years older than Muhammad, who could not read? Muhammad could not read. And she's the only witness to his so-called vision, whereas the whole million people of the nation of Israel are witnesses to the voice of the Most High. 1 million people. Even in Islam's own writings, it's only Khadijah that was witness, that bore witness to Muhammad. But the Bible said, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Well, in Israel, there's over 1 million. There were 600,000 men, plus women and children, that heard the voice of the Most High from Mount Sinai. Over 1 million. There's the whole nation of Egypt, Mizraim, Kemet, that saw the judgment that came on that land when the children of Israel were delivered. Many witnesses. There were at least 500 witnesses, the Bible says, to the ascension of Messiah. 500 saw him ascend. Witnesses. But only Khadijah for Muhammad. Khadijah's father was a Roman Catholic. There you go. This is the truth, y'all. Why you think, did you notice that in Islam, they use rosary beads? Ask the Muslim. They have prayer beads. That's the same thing you have in Roman Catholicism, prayer beads. And they recite prayers while they're holding these beads. Where'd they get that from? And that stone in Saudi Arabia. I don't recall the Bible talking about Saudi Arabia as any holy place. Do you? I don't recall the Bible picking any Arab prophet. Do you? Any of the prophets in the Bible Arab? And though Arabs are Semites, Shem had a lot of children. But from what I read, the only chosen seed of Shem was Arphaxad, who had Eber, who became the Hebrews. That's all I saw. So, you can't have both. You can only have one or the other. And people get all emotional about this. You're speaking against Islam. Ah! Listen, intelligent people will read. The Most High has given us this understanding. No need to get emotional about it. That's why I don't get angry when somebody calls me a bigot or yells and screams. I am concerned with my salvation and the salvation of the people of Yah. We don't need to threaten anyone for them to be won to truth. You don't need to go cut anybody or stab them because they disagree with your prophet. That's weakness, really. But that's how Asatan operates. Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. The shepherds with their flock shall come unto her. They shall pitch their tents against her round about. They shall feed every one in his place. Prepare ye war against her. Arise and let us go up at noon. Woe unto us, for the day goeth away, for the shadows of the evening are stretched out. Arise and let us go by night, and let us destroy her palaces. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, and said, hew thee down trees, and cast them out against Jerusalem. This is the city to be visited. She is holy oppression in the midst of her. As a fountain casteth out her waters, so she casteth out her wickedness. Violence and spoil is heard in her. Before me continually is grief and wounds. Be thou instructed, O Jerusalem, lest my soul depart from thee, lest I make thee desolate in a land not inhabited. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall thoroughly glean the remnant of Israel as a vine, Turn back thine hand as the grape gatherers into the baskets. To whom shall I speak and give warning that they may hear? Behold, their ear is uncircumcised, and they cannot hearken. Behold, the word of Yahweh is unto them a reproach. They have no delight in it. Therefore I am full of the fury of Yahweh. I am weary with holding in. I will pour it out upon the children abroad and upon the assembly of young men together. For even the husband with the wife shall be taken, the aged with him that is full of days. Yes, brethren, that was Jerusalem. That was our fathers. And that was his anger against us. The only difference between us and what's going to happen on the world stage is the promise to our father, Abraham, the promise to our father, Yishak or Isaac, and the promise to our father, Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. That's the only difference, y'all. Because the same thing, what he described here, notice, as the fountain casts out her waters, so she casts out wickedness. Violence and spoil is in her. There is continually grief and wounds. That's what we're seeing on the earth today, isn't it? That's the description of what is going on the real, on the street level, all over the earth. The cry of grief is everywhere. Oppression is everywhere. And so as it happened to us, so it's going to happen to the earth. As he said, I'm going to make Jerusalem a land not inhabited, so he's going to do to the planet. But he's going to save his people out of it, as he promised, because of his promise. Not because we're special, because of his promise to Abraham. That's what he said. Let's look at it. Deuteronomy. Chapter 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7. Verse 6, 7, and 8. Deuteronomy 7, 6, 7, and 8. For thou, talking about you Israelites, are an holy people unto Yahweh thy most high. Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Watch this now. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you are more in number than any people. For you are the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, hath Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He redeemed us from slavery because of his promise to our fathers. He's going to redeem us now as a nation because of the promise to our fathers. We are his chosen, literally, because of the promise to our fathers. And as that situation, we need to remember that. For all those talking about Gentiles will never be saved and talking against so-called white people, you need to understand you're not chosen because your skin is brown. It's because you are the seed of Abraham. That's all. So we need to be humble and bring this message as Israelites. That's our job. That's what we've been called into existence. That's why there's an awakening, to awaken us as to who we are and to make the call to the Israelites scattered abroad and those Gentiles with them that are interested in the truth. This is not a Christian denomination. This is not a club. This is not a camp for you to sign up for. This is the faith of Messiah. This is for you to seek perfect righteousness from the only source, Father Yah, which is the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yep, that's it. So here in Jerusalem, he punishes his chosen. And again, Peter said, if judgment begin at us, what's going to be those that don't obey not the gospel? I mean, the true gospel. The gospel of the Israelite nation revealing the righteousness of the Father. That's the gospel. And so when that true gospel is being brought forth now, as it is now, it had not been brought forth before until after the 2300 days was over, which is now. And it's being brought forth by the true Israelite bloodline of Abraham. And that's what's going on. The royal house of Judah is presenting this gospel of righteousness by faith, of justification. And the only people that could do it right is his chosen ones. Understanding where we fell and warning y'all as ambassadors, don't fall the same way, because it's going to be worse for y'all. You're not going to exist. Okay? You're not going to exist. Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 6. Let me start at verse 11 again. Therefore, I am full of the fury of Yahweh. I am weary with holding in. I will pour it out upon the children abroad and upon the assembly of the young men together. For even the husband with the wife shall be taken, the aged with him that is full of days. Verse 12, their houses shall be turned unto others with their fields and wives together. For I will stretch out my hand upon the inhabitants of the land, saith Yahweh. For from the least of them, even unto the greatest of them, every one is given to, notice, covetousness. From the prophet, even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely. Brethren, this is an accurate description, not only of what happened to our fathers before the destruction of Solomon's temple and it taken into captivity in Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome. Not only that, all the way till today, it's an accurate description of Babylon. It's an accurate description. Given over to covetousness. You see how it's self-destructive? It's on a worldwide scale now. Everybody wants things. The economy of the United States, do you understand that this economy is run on the purchase of stuff? The economy doesn't work when you save money. Do you know that? It works when money is lent. So that your savings is only good to the bank in that they can use your savings to lend it. And people borrow money to buy stuff, like houses, like kitchen refrigerators and cars and furniture and fancy jewels and coats and clothes and shoes. People buy stuff on credit because that's what keeps the economy going. That's why it's all a lie. It's not built on you just earning and paying cash. That's why anybody talking about, well, we shouldn't forgive the student debt. They got themselves in debt. The system is built for you to get education by debt. It's built like that. And if you denying it, you got your head way up in your behind because that's the only way you're going to get college educated in this system. In the United States, you can't go to college without no debt. Look at the number of people that could go without debt. It's people that either their parents are making buku dollars or they just got family wealth. They could do that. But for the majority of us, we're being told that our way out is education. That's what we've been told. That's what we've been taught. I've been hearing that since I was, since I can remember. The way out of poverty is education. And they put that on us so that we can go in debt, get that education, thinking that we will out earn the debt, knowing very well that wasn't going to be the case. It's a trap. It's been set up like that because the whole system is a lie. The whole system is a lie. No, the way out is not education. I know people that just got a trade, like a carpenter trade, plumbing trade, and they had either little or no debt, and they're making more money than people like me in IT that got tens of thousands of dollars in debt trying to get my IT degree, my math degree, my finance degree, so that I can get ahead and take care of my family. And I'm not alone. There's thousands. I remember I went to I was thinking about going to a PhD at one time. I was thinking about getting a doctorate. And I went to a conference because there was a big company sponsoring Black people, so-called African Americans, that wanted to go and get doctorates in business disciplines. So they sent us all to Chicago, and there was hundreds of people there. We were all in a hotel in Chicago, and I noticed that there was probably like, I say at least 500 people there, maybe more, but I'm being conservative. And of all the people there were Black people that were in debt because they had gotten MBAs, they had got masters and different things, trying to get ahead. And now this was another way they were trying to get ahead. And the Most High let me from it. I think I was a trap too. Never trust your oppressors like that. Not on a corporate level. They don't really want to help you. It's always a game. And the whole system's a lie. So I went there, and what I learned from it was like, dang, it's not, they try to portray Black people as lazy. And I'm looking at a sea of people with master's degrees and MBAs trying to get ahead. And everybody's struggling, except the people that didn't get married. There were men there. They were waiting to get married. They didn't have any children, and they were trying to get ahead. And they were the ones, women and men that did that. They were the ones that had a chance. All of the rest of us that had children and families and trying to feed them and trying to get ahead, struggling and had heavy student debt. That's when I knew it was a game, man. The whole thing was set up. Okay? It's a setup. And so it's part of this system. It's a setup. Okay? And it's greed. It's greed on a corporate level. And it trickles down, no pun intended, to all of us. With me, and I know a lot of y'all too, it ain't about that extra thing that we want to get to look good. It's about survival. It's about keeping the roof over our head. It's about not ending up homeless. But you need credit to do that. I'm buying this house. I say I'm buying it, but I'm really not buying it. I'm borrowing from the bank because of what? My credit. You see what I'm saying? The bank really owns it. They'll name me as the owner, me and my wife. But we're paying the bank because that's how this system runs. That's how it works. It's a setup. You don't really own nothing. If you're fortunate enough to live long enough to pay off the nut that you're going to get on this house or anybody else, now you might own it. But that's very few, especially among the Israelites. That's very few. Very few. Okay? Very few. Most of us have that nut over our heads and we call ourselves owners. It's a setup. My wife and I look at it like this. At least we're not throwing money, giving it to the landlord, right? For her to pay her mortgage. We're going to at least be paying toward our ownership, but we still are paying the bank for a long time. Longer than I'll be alive. See? So, brethren, the whole thing that we see here, that was not new. That happened in our nation when we was on the land. When we was in Israel, our fathers were in the land that was promised to them. They ran all of these games, covetous, rule. But now, if you read the word, you'll see the word clearly. It's just the way it is. Covetousness and greed. And they smile in your face and they act like they're doing you a favor, the Democrats or the Republicans, the conservatives or the liberals. And then the churches act like you got to be a member of their church to be saved. And the whole thing is a lie and a game. A front. And until I read the word, I couldn't see it. I knew so. It's like you get a third sense of something. You understand? Like, you know, when you're in a danger, that like one of my favorite cartoons was Spider-Man. And whenever he was in trouble, he would say, Spidey senses tingling, right? And so you kind of have that. You kind of get your Spidey senses tingling. You know something is going on. You just can't put your finger as to what it is, but you know something is wrong. You just feel it. Well, the word reveals what exactly it is. It shows you exactly what it is. It reveals Satan's deepest thoughts. It reveals his plans. It shows you everything. Just read the word. It shows you the whole thing. It's all revealed, which is why they try to discourage people. People carry Bibles into their so-called churches, but they don't read them. Not really. They take pieces here and there to try to create a narrative, but they don't read the word. No, they don't do that. But we do, praise the Most High, right? We do. We reading it. That's why nothing will be hidden from us. We'll see it through all of it. Not because we're smart, because the word is teaching us. The Most High give it to us. It's teaching us. All we got to do is read it. Okay? Read it. And if you can't read, pray for that power. The Most High will give it to you. Or they even got the Bible on audio. You could listen to it. Get the whole thing and read it. Go through it every day. Okay? A little bit every day. And then when you get finished with it, go through it again. The more it becomes part of your soul and your spirit, the more powerful you become. Believe me, you will not be fooled by the things going on. You will see straight through all the lies. I can look at MSNBC and I can look straight through it and see what's going on. I can see Fox and I know what it's about. There's no philosophy they got that I'm going to believe in, but I know what they're trying to do. The Bible is showing me what they're trying to do. Okay? And they don't even hear. You let somebody talk long enough, they will reveal everything. What? You left the church, brother? And they don't realize how they sound. You left the church? Man, did you baptize him into the church? Man. And I'd be like, whoa, man. I used to sound like that. Dad. Yeah, brother. Read the words. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna do a break right here at 12:30. We're gonna come back and finish chapter 6 by the grace of the Most High. But we covered a lot. We covered a lot in these small verses. They speak volumes to us, man. They speak volumes to us. These verses, they do. And we went through a lot of it, but we just scratching the surface. Honestly, we just scratching the surface. There's a lot deeper than even I'm bringing to y'all. I'm trying to tell you. Read the word. Okay, we're going to stop here. We're going to come back at about 1:15. It's 12:30 Eastern time. We'll come back for 45 minutes. Give me a chance to get a little something to eat, and then get ready for the next session at about 1:15. We're going to continue in chapter 6 of Jeremiah. Please, if you're not able to come back, okay, fine. Please enjoy the Sabbath. May the Most High bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you, lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. For the only difference, Moses said, between us and the whole planet is that Yahweh is with us. Let him be with you today. Shalom.